yena characharam tatparam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Adnanati mirandasya jnana jana shalakaya chakshuram militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram jagamam yaktam yakkinchit sacharacharam tatparam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhavati sapivat sarvam Trilokyam sacharacharam tatparam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarvashruti shiroratna virajita padambujaha vedantambuja suryoya tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chaitanya shashvata shanto Yomatito niranjanaha Bindunada karatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jnana Shakti Samaruddha Tattvamala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradata Cha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Virayine Atmanyana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shoshanam Bhava Sindoscha Jnapanam Sarasampadaha Guru Padodakam Sanya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam Na Guru Radhikam Tapaha Tattvajnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Manata Shri Jagannatha Madguru Shri Jagadguru Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guru Radhiranadhischa Guru Paramadevatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Koti pranam satakoti pranam 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 koti pranam satakoti pranam. Jai Jai Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunatha Jai Jai Shri Vishwananda Priya Prananatha Jai Jai Gurudeva Karuna Sanara Jai Jai Shri Vishwananda Prema Avataram Jai Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Satara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Koti Pranam Satakoti Pranam. Koti Pranam Satakoti Pranam. Koti Pranam Satakoti Pranam. Koti Pranam Satakoti Pranam. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunata. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Priya Prananata. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Sagara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunata. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Priya Prananata. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Sagara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Koti Pranam Satakoti Pranam. 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunata. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Priya Prananata. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Sagara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunata. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Priya Prananata. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Sagara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunata. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Priya Prananata. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Sagara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Koti Pranam Satakoti Pranam. 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Kripa Sindhunata. Jaya Jaya Vishwananda Priya Prananata. Jaya Jaya Gurudeva Karuna Sagara. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Vasudeva Karuna Sagar. Jaya Jaya Shri Vishwananda Prema Avatara. Koti Pranam, Sat Koti Pranam, 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 Sat Koti Pranam, Koti Pranam, Sat Koti Pranam. Om Avatarshishaya Namaha, Om Vishramaya Namaha, Om Devakarya Samudyataya Namaha, Om Sukshmatanave Namaha, Om Chinmayaya Namaha, Om Gurumurtaye Namaha, Om Sundaraya Namaha, Om Sulochanaye Namaha, Om Sumukaya Namaha, Om Charvasaya Namaha, Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Padmambujaya Namaha, Om Mandragamanaya Namaha, Om Charubharadharine Namaha, Om Ramaya Namaha, Om Mandirastapakaya Namaha, Om Shirdi Bhavachakaya Namaha, Om Gayatri Ashvane Namaha, Om Arpanasvikarakaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namaha, Om Namo Narayana Iti Mantrupasakaya Namaha, Om Swaramayaya Namaha, Om Madhurakantaya Namaha, Om Krishna Sankirtana Lulupaya Namaha, Om Stotra Priyaya Namaha, Om Mitavashine Namaha, Om Vagmine Namaha, Om Chitrakara Visharadaya Namaha, Om Vratadaraya Namaha, Om Sadave Namaha, Om Jagatpantaya Namaha, Om Sarvalokaitaya Namaha, Om Bhakta Priyaya Namaha, Om Suradaya Namaha, Om Anukulaya Namaha, Om Neyaya Namaha, Om Sudarshanaya Namaha, Om Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha, Om Prema Murtaye Namaha, Om Subhakshanaya Namaha, Om Pritivardhanaya Namaha, Om Swastidayakaya Namaha, Om Tarakaya Namaha, Om Anugrahaya Namaha, Om Vardhanaya Namaha, Om Arjitaya Namaha, Om Aradhaya Namaha, Om Siddhipradaya Namaha, Om Janardhanaya Namaha, Om Manoharaya Namaha, Om Mahakshaya Namaha, Om Siddheshwaraya Namaha, Om Bhasmabhushitaya Namaha, Om Atmalingaya Namaha, Om Lingachana Prosahakaya Namaha, Om Siddhi Saranaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Omkarupasakaya Namaha, Om Sukshmaya Namaha, Om Vishwakaya Namaha, Om Satvikaya Namaha, Om Samadarshine Namaha, Om Dakshaya Namaha, Om Achintyaya Namaha, Om Niramkaraya Namaha, Om Nirmohaya Namaha, Om Avyagraya Namaha, Om Chitakrodaya Namaha, Om Vinayashilaya Namaha, Om Svavashaya Namaha, Om Kushalaya Namaha, Om Shamaya Namaha, Om Satyadharmaya Namaha, Om Nirvikalpaya Namaha, Om Viraktaya Namaha, Om Atindraya Namaha, Om Satyasandhaya Namaha, Om Pavitraya Namaha, Om Madhurasvabhavaya Namaha, Om Surandhanaya Namaha, Om Nandanaya Namaha, Om Prasanatmane Namaha, Om Bhaktanidaye Namaha, Om Sakshaye Namaha, Om Samatmaye Namaha, Om Sadayogine Namaha, Om Haraye Namaha, Om Sutapaye Namaha, Om Somyaye Namaha, Om Guyaye Namaha, Om Vimuktatmaye Namaha, Om Kabiraye Namaha, Om Guptaye Namaha, Om Atmaramaye Namaha, Om Shri Vasai Namaha, Om Devai Namaha, Om Yudhidharai Namaha, Om Dhanyai Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Guratikamai Namaha, Om Ganai Namaha, Om Bhagavate Namaha, Om Manishara Margadashakai Namaha, Om Kutastakakai Namaha, Om Abhiprayai Namaha, Om Sarvamata Samachai Namaha, Om Kshamayata Bhavavratakai Namaha, Om Prematara Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Avantuno yato Vishnu vichakrame pratibhya saptadamabihi idam Vishnu vichakrame tredani dade padam samudamasya bhagum sure trini pada vichakrame Vishnu gopa adahabhyaha adho dharmani dayana Vishnu karmani pashyata yato vritani paspashe Indrasya yujasakaha tat Vishnu paramam paragum sada pashanti surya divi vachakshuratatam tat viprasto vipanyavo jagrabhagum sasamindate Vishnu yat paramam padam. Gurudevaya Dhimai Dhano Vishwananda Prachodayate Om Premavataya Dhimai Sadgurudevaya Dhimai Dhano Vishwananda Prachodayate Om Premavataya Dhimai Sadgurudevaya Dhimai Dhano Vishwananda Prachodayate Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvinam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Krishna Vishnu Madhusudana Ketavare Narayana Achyuta Trivikrama Chakrapane Rejari Sajara Shridhara Vasudeva Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Rukmini Shabhavanasa Hare Murare Radesha Gopesha Surupa Brahmani Vanja Shri Dvarakashaya Vaikuntha Pate Bhuvane Kamote Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Meenakrute Kamara Rupa Varahamurte Previkramaya Guhane Gurulama Rama Shri Rama Krishna Yarunandana Kakirupa Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Govinda Madhava Mukunda Paraparesha Damodara Chadarananda Kadari Shori Gopa Gopi Jana Samrita Lina Bando Gopi Jana Priyaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shirabdi Shahi Bhujagari Patal Pashahi Sadbhaktare Sadana Shahi Ramanga Shahi Shri Gopa Bama Virutal Pasudari Shahi Gopa Vallabhare Tava Suprabhatam Shri Kashyapati Sukanarada Gotamani Brahmashi Sangamani Sangabharatesho Tishtanti Devya Navarashana Vagayeto Gopala Chedarale Tava Suprabhatam Mandara Jari Tulasida Yamaya Kakyahe Mayani Anjali Buddhe Samudaharanti Tishtanti Vapavaradala Dale Monendraha Radha Manora Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vedadvayam Patati Gotamakana Guyaha Gayanti Satguna Gano Varada Sabagaha Sankirtayanti Tavanama Kada Visheshaha Shinaradari Rushaya Tava Suprabhatam Govardhanodharana Gopa Kishora Gopa Gopi Janarita Suvesha Vapani Pota Trilokya Mohana Sumangala Divya Deha Shirumini Shavarada Tava Suprabhatam Shivasa Shira Sharanagata Parichata Bhakta Divanjana Kripa Karadina Bandho Triyanta Gayati Jana Priya Divya Rupa Shri Nanda Gopatanaya Tava Suprabhatam Padmaksha Padma Mukha Padmadara Prameya Padmalaya Shlarita Padma Nivasa Shori Padmodbhavanti Sura Sevita Para Padma Padmaninata Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vrindatale Viharanaya Mahendra Vandya Kandarpa Haratiya Suresha Rupa Chandrananaya Sira Chandana Lipna Deha Govinda Yaravare Tava Suprabhatam Shinandra Nandana Yashora Kumara Dira Mayangarina Lavichona Supushpahara Nilambudara Susarira Rama Vihara Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shiva Shri Jambavati Satya Suganti Bhadra Shri Mitra Vinda Divasa Prabhu Putrikayahe Tishtanti Divya Bhavane Tava Sevanadam Gopi Mana Priyaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Achyuta Ananta Kishori Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Divya Munayurvani Sambhadanti Brahmi Muhurta Samaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Patanti Mahadishtam Bhuri Kritam Mahapapa Shri Krishna Gaye Tukam Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karana Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Chintamani Prakara Satma Sokalpa Vriksha Lashvariteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Venum Vanantamaravinda Dayaya Kasham Bhadavatam Sahasitam Buddha Sundararam Kandarpakotika Maniya Vishesha Shobham Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Alola Chandra Kala Sarvanamaya Vanshi Ranangaram Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasam Shyamam Tribangalalitam Niyatam Prakasham Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Anganiyasya Sakarendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalayanti Shiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhujvala Vigrahasya Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Aja Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Panta Sukoti Shatavatsara Samprakavyo Vayoratapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopyasti Akrapada Simnya Vichinchatatve Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ego Vyasora Salyutam Jagaranda Kotim Yashakti Asti Jagaranda Chaya Yadantam Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujastateva Sampraya Rupa Mahimana Sabhushaham Shukteyameva Nigama Pratidastuvanti Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratipad Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Premanjana Shurita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sareva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yashama Sundarama Chinta Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ramadi Murti Shukalanaya Vedatishta Nanavataram Akaror Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavas Parama Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yasya Prabhavam Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Kotishvashesha Vasudhari Vibhuti Pina Tat Pramanishkalamanantamashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yasya Yagarandana Sanitute Treguna Tatpasaya Veda Vitayamana Sarvavalambi Parasattva Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ananda Jimaya Rasatmataya Manashu Ya Praninam Patipalam Swarata Upetya Lila Itena Bhuvanani Jayani Jastram Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Golokanapni Nijaram Nitale Chatasya Devi Mahesha Hari Rama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitasayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Shrishti Shiti Pralaya Sarana Shakti Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Viparti Durga Ichano Rupama Priyasya Chate Satesa Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Shriram Yatara Vivikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjayate Naikata Pratikasti Eto Yashambhutama Pitata Samupeta Karya Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Divarjireva Ida Shantaramabhyupetya Dipayate Vivritayetu Samanadama Yastadriyeva Icha Vishnudaya Vipati Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yakaranamadagali Bhajati Smayoga Nigamadanta Jagadanda Saromakupa Adara Shakti Mavalamya Param Swamurtim Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yase Kanishvashita Kala Matavalamya Jivanti Loma Viraja Jagarandanataha Vishnu Mahansaya Yasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Pasvanya Tasma Sakareshu Nijeshu Tesha Yankiya Prakatayapyapi Advahatra Brahmaya Esha Jagalanda Viranakata Govindamadi Purushantamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purushantamam Bhajami Yatpada Palavayugam Vinidaya Kumbha Bande Pranama Samaye Saganai Rajaha Vignaviyantumalamyasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Agnimayi Jagadanambo Marutisasya Kalasratatma Manashira Jagatrayani Yasmat Bhavanti Bhavanti Vishanti Yancha Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yachakshuresha Savita Sakala Grahana Raja Samasta Suramurti Ashesha Teshaha Yasya Jaya Pramatya Samprita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Damodara Pata Nichaya Sutaya Tapamsi Brahmani Gita Paragavara Yasha Chivaha Yagara Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yasindra Gopamana Ventra Mahosvakama Bandhano Rupa Paravanchana Matanoti Karmani Nirali Kintu Chabhakti Bhaja Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yam Krura Kama Sahaja Pranayani Vikte Vatsaya Moma Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavahe Sanchinta Tasya Tarishinta Numa Purete Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Aknarati Mirandasya Granachana Shalakaya Shakshurun Meditam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Good day and good morning. So we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam and it's the Canto 3 and chapter 16 verse 18. Dvata sanatano damo rakshyati tano pishtava damasya paramo kuyo nivikaro bhavamadaha. You are the source of the eternal occupation of all living entities, and by your multi-manifestations of supreme personalities, you have always protected Dharma or religion. You are the supreme objective of Dharmic or religious principles, and in our opinion, you are inexhaustible and unchangeable eternally. So I chose this verse this morning because I wanted to talk about eternity and eternal. And I just came back from the temple inauguration in Elmira, and several asked me how it was, and sometimes I could not even say something. Sometimes it was flowing, but to be honest, for me, this was such a what can I say? I cannot really say life-changing because there's so many life-changing happenings, but actually an event which made a very, very deep impact on myself. And I felt a little bit similar after I came back from the Kumbh Mela, which happened 2013. And this was also such an unexpected, deep experience that sometimes you just don't have the words for it to describe what was happening. And things happened on many different levels. And so therefore, I was in my hiding mode as much as I could, just to avoid to describe this event in a flat way. It's not possible, yeah? And I think many of you have watched the live streams and could, of course, get a glimpse of it. And actually the live streams show a lot, and sometimes you see it even better than being there. So, of course, it's immense, you know, there are no words to describe what was happening. But for me, it was also, let's say, the things around. Yeah, it was really a pilgrimage for me. To the outside, but also to the inside. Something deeply touched me from the core of my heart. So, as we know, it's Para Nitya Narasimha. Nitya is eternal, so I wanted to talk about this feeling of eternity, eternal, yeah? And we know this, our words are limited, so I thought I will describe some moments or some feelings I had being there, and just share with you these things which you cannot see in the live streams, or which was like personal encounters and so on. Yeah, so actually one of the first things which touched me deeply was going to the morning prayers. And you are here now in the morning prayers. And I personally, I'm very glad and I'm very grateful that I have this longing to go to the prayers, especially the morning prayers, especially the Guru Puja and the Abhishekam. I was always very, very grateful for this, that it is natural to me, that I long for it, going there. I even had before, when we were in Stephanshof, time and the temple was freshly inaugurated, and I realized I just have to go out of the house door, and the temple is next door. For me was so immense that I don't have to drive somewhere, I don't have to go somewhere, I don't need to organize my life in visiting places where I want to be. And one morning I met Guruji, and I just said, Guruji, I just can go out of the house and the temple is next door. And he said, yes, it's just next door. So it was again next door. Yeah, we lived in the ashram, which is normally the Prabhu ashram, because it was packed full. You cannot imagine how we lived. It was a camp. And it was a very happy camp. It was amazing how it worked. And everybody tried the best that it's working, and it did. So again, the temple, which was a church before, was next door. So the first morning I went, it was the day after they moved all the murtis to the church, to the, let's say, church temple. Yeah? As we know, in the church, the original word was temple. So the day before, they moved all the murtis to the temple because it was ready to get prepared for the inauguration. So in a way, it was the second day. And so I went inside, and the sun was just about getting up. The sun was shining through these church windows, which were very colorful, with images from Jesus' life and even beyond. So I saw this play of colors on the wooden floor. And Narasimha, of course, he was still blindfolded. And the atmosphere was already like, oh my God, what is going on here? Even it was not inaugurated. And then these few boys who have been residents and also a few locals or Americans who moved there, they started with the morning prayers. And since years I had not attended such a morning prayers, I was just crying. I was just crying. I was crying because of the beauty. And it was not because they were perfect in the music. I could feel the love. I could feel the love so much in preparing. Sorry, I just wanted to share some stories. But it really touched me like this. I was just crying. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And as I said, it was not the quality of the music. You know, we become better and better in things. But when you feel it, you know, it's another level. It's the same with art when you're painting. You know, we can become better and better. But when you feel the presence from each one, that's another level. And since long time, I have not felt like this. And I just didn't want to go. I just didn't want to go from this temple. And I had a talk with Swami Tulsidas a few days afterwards. I just wanted to share this with him. And it touched him also because he was also growing up with us, you know, in Stephanshof and also here. And he said, you know, it's very touching for him. And he also feels it like this. And of course, we were talking a bit about why it was like this and so on. Whatever it is the reason, it was just the fact that it is like this. The focus was really in serving Paranitya, Narasimha, and making this temple ready with everything they had. There were residents who have not even met Guruji yet, and they gave everything. Actually, I wanted to share something else, but it reminded me now while I was crying of something else, which was the last event, actually in the temple after, so the inauguration was done. And Guruji gave a speech. Yeah, maybe you have heard this speech. It was just a few minutes. And Guruji also started to cry. And I was sitting quite close, and I could observe him very closely. And I was also sitting actually very close to Tulsi Devi. Tulsi Devi is opposite of the asana from Guruji. And I was sitting there, Guruji, and he was about to cry in this because he was just deeply moved. And he was so happy. You could feel it. You just could feel it. He didn't even need to say anything. You could feel that he was so grateful about this bunch of devotees who gave everything and made it a foundation which we cannot even dream about. So Guruji giving this last talk and starting to cry. And then, he started to change the subject a little bit, and it was clear, some saw it, some not. But you know what was so interesting? That Tulsi Devi, after this, start to cry. You know, it was like after the inauguration, you know, somebody noticed that Tulsi Devi was crying, and he was talking about Tulsi Devi in this, you know, it is about her grace and so on. We all know it's Guruji's grace. We all know, and he that, and it's Tulsi Devi, or it's this, or it's that. But his tears, that's from my perspective, from my way of feeling it in that moment, he gave to Tulsi Devi, because this is how she was started to cry, and they were very thick and very clear tears. And for a long time, I've not seen this. It's rarely happening. You know, I know this crying a lot from the time when Guruji was more in the Christian phase, especially the first year. I think everything was crying, you know, everything, the icons, the pictures were crying, all the statues, all the Mother Marys, Archangel Michael in Mauritius, in the first inauguration of the chapel, they were all crying. They were crying with tears, they cried with blood tears, Jesus baby had blood tears, everything. I've seen everything. And it was even started to become normal, because the miracles were just, another one. And for long, and then we had it also in Stephanshof time, the tears coming. We still have an icon, which once in a while on the 15th of August cried, and with the perfume and everything, but it became less and less. And actually, even since years, several years, nothing happened. And then this tiny Tulsi Devi opposite the asan from Guruji with very thick tears. And for me, this was describing, actually, there's what to say, you know, what to say. It's just beyond comprehension. Yeah, so this about the tears, I wanted to say. Then actually I wanted to talk a little bit about the art, because this was part of it. I mentioned the church windows. We all know the church windows, how beautiful this is when the light, especially the morning, the first rays of the sun goes through the windows. It creates such a beautiful atmosphere. And actually, I was thinking about the people going to the church. Also in the evening, it was ongoing. It was from the one side, the morning sun, and then in the evening, for the evening prayers, from the other side, the light came through, because it was on both sides. And rarely you have such buildings nowadays. So it was always this play of colors, and this is reflected through this beautiful art. You know, Gitanjali was the head artist, creating these drawings, making everything ready. But there were also a local artist who was putting everything on the wall, and it was perfectly arranged by Guruji that those who are skilled enough could also help Gitanjali, because Gitanjali, she wrote me once, I cannot even climb the scaffolder anymore. Yeah? Because she gave also everything. She gave here everything. People cannot even imagine how it's not about only painting or doing music or building a temple. You know, they're really devotees who give everything. And it affects their body. They cannot do the same anymore, because their body is not allowing it anymore. Still, they move on. You know, Guruji brings new people who can do it, who can climb the scaffolder now, who can all go on. And that's what I feel being in Bhakti Marga all the time, you know. We all get, those who are around, we get older. We need to also make space for the younger energy. Yeah? And this this is an ongoing process, and that's what is talking about in this verse, the eternal Dharma, you know. It only can go on if we make space for new energies. And this actually, that was the subject I wanted to talk about, what touched me also very deeply. You know, it's my second trip to America. Yeah, I was in the first trip with Guruji, which was in 2005, to California, which is totally different, and now to this inauguration of this temple. And being a European, very traditional raised, yeah, I come from a small town, 80% is Catholic. I know the mindset of the people, of the local people. And then you come to America where everything, let's say, the people came from Europe. Yeah? The native Indians were there, but we all know what happened. I don't go in this drama. But we all know that actually the people came from Europe. And they all brought their ideas, our ideas and religion and practices. It was all brought to America and then went on. But because they were so different and actually they had to find a way, I think this is what they trained this new, let's say, these new continents to be more open. To be more open for movements, and I could feel this. I would like to share, actually, Swami Tulsidas said this, you know, that the local people were pretty open, and, you know, Kalpit is the father from Swami Tulsidas. He's not only a construction worker, he's also the person who immediately made contact with the firemen, people and the local, whatever, the authorities. And this opened up the doors. Yeah, it opened up the doors because it was a grounded person, an American grounded person who knows what he's doing. And yeah, so one incident, what happened? So they talked about this, that this was actually very essential for everything, that to have these contacts, you know, that they help you. Yeah, otherwise you cannot raise a temple in 1 year. So they had a lot of wonderful help. So these firemen people, I heard about them and I thought, yeah, I can imagine. My father was also in the he was also a fireman, and I found it also very funny, this idea. So what happened also in the last day, last Arati, yeah, Guruji doing the Arati with a big flame, and the flame was huge. I think you saw in Livestream. It was huge, 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 became bigger and bigger. And then what went off? The fire alarm. So the fire alarm like this, and then I felt like in Springen, you know, it was really funny. And then, you know, the firemen, they're obliged to come. And then I thought, my goodness, Guruji, you're just amazing. It's beyond anything. He wanted these firemen to come to have darshan of Paranatya Narasimha. This was the only way to get them to the temple. So he had to create this big flame because they were essential, you know. They were really essential. They had a very important part in the whole process. So in this way, Guruji works. Yeah, what he does, you know, is so hiddenly. You know, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, and a few also came. They came for darshan. You could see it on the families and so on. So a few also came, but yeah. So the local people were pretty open, and they that's what Swami Tulsidas also said. You know, it's like, you know, they were glad that this building is in good use, because this church was the favorite, most popular church in the region. And I think that's why it makes so much sense. You know, it was not a dead church. You could feel it. It was alive. People went there for praying. It was a Madonna. It was a Madonna Lourdes, so a Mother Mary Lourdes church. So the praying to the Divine Mother, and you could feel it. People went there really for praying. It had a beautiful atmosphere just by itself. It was donated by local people. It was not a governmental or whatever church founded church. It was local people built this church. They paid for it. And also this makes so much sense in the bigger picture. The eternal Dharma, these people who gave also, nobody maybe knows them, I don't know, but they are integrated. The blessing goes on, the blessing to them, to their families goes on, whoever helped in this church. Guruji, he uses what is real, what is authentic, and makes something even more beautiful. And that's why the reaction of the locals was really like, oh, such a beautiful church. Luckily, something is happening with it. And it's not like, oh, you strange people, and this. Maybe some, but yeah. But this was more in the foreground. And this is now the last story I wanted to share, is when we were in the plane from Elmira. Elmira has also an airport, which is amazing. It's actually a very beautiful, small, tiny airport, 15 minutes drive, so perfectly arranged. So we were on the plane going back, and I would say maybe nearly half of the plane there were devotees or followers of Guruji. It just happened. Also my flight, I didn't know. It just happened. It was the cheapest option I found. And so it was funny, we were in all colors. So Indians in the normal sari, some tilak, some no tilak. So we had yellow, we had red, we had orange. So it was actually amazing, this little tiny plane full of us. And we were talking to each other, knowing each other. It felt like it's our plane. And that's how we behaved. And there was a man behind us. And he looked already very open, very friendly. And then we were about to leave, and this man started to talk. He started to talk with me, and he said, so he was observing us, and he sees all these colors and these signs from us, but he doesn't get it. Who we are, what we are doing. Oh, it seems we belong together. And he said, yeah, we all belong together. So in a very short time, we explained. And actually, we went straight to the point. Our master, Paramahamsa Vishwananda, is also in the plane. We had the picture ready. We showed him the picture, and he was like, "Oh, yes." And so it was amazing how open he was. And then he told him about the temple inauguration and Elmira. And he said, "Oh, I know this church." I said, "I went to this church. What a beautiful church." And again, his reaction was like this. Oh, wow, this makes me really happy to know that something like this is happening with this beautiful church. And I definitely will go there. And I'm really glad to hear this. And it touches me. And so we gave him the card. We gave him the information that at least he knows what to do. But this was for me, let's say, the final experience on this trip. This, the way Guruji puts us together, how he spreads the message. We just need to be open. We need to be ready in the moment. The people who are called, they are called. They will get it. You can see it on their face. And I feel like we don't need to do much. Those who want to know, they want to know, but more is not to be done. And this person's reaction of like, my goodness, I'm so glad to hear about this, that this church is in good hands and the prayers are going on. So I don't know how many places Guruji will, take with time or, will updo it. But for me, it was the feeling of another chapter in the mission of Guruji, in the mission of Bhakti Marga. Definitely another, maybe even another book. It was such a deep impact in all levels, and as I said, it's hardly, I cannot really describe, just to give you some feelings or atmospheres about this, what was happening. And if you have ever the chance to go there, I would say to really take this opportunity. It's really not so difficult to reach this place. Jai Gurudev.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Ladha Dahine. Prahlada Ladha Dahine. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Ito Narsimo Parato Narsimo. Ito Narsimo Parato Narsimo. Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimo. Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimo. Baye Narsimo Hiraye Narsimo. Baye Narsimo Hiraye Narsimo. Narsimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye. Narsimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Bhukta Shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jaya Jaya Jakshare. O Jaya Jagadishare. Jaya Jagadishare. Tava Kama Kamalavare Nakama Bhukta Shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Bhukta Shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Bhukta Shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Vishwananda Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev, 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 Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev, Shri Vishwananda Gurudev, Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev, 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 Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatindraya Karunakaraya, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatindraya Karunakaraya, Mangala Mangala Me, Prabhatirame Karataya, Mangala Mangala Me, Prabhatirame Karataya, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Saligrama Pratishtaya, Mangala Mangala Me, Saligrama Pratishtaya, Mangala Mangala Me, Trirandadari Gopalajaya, Mangala Mangala Me, Trirandadari Gopalajaya, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Ragesha Kankarataya, Mangala Mangala Me, Ragesha Kankarataya, Mangala Mangala Me, Manatayaya Daridaya, Mangala Mangala Me, Manatayaya Daridaya, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Yatiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me, Ratiraja Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Bhakta Jano ke Sankata Jasa Jano ke Sankata Shana me dura kare. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jo jave para pave, Dukha vinase manaka, Swami Dukha vinase manaka, Sukha sampati garahave, Sukha sampati garahave, Kashtamite tanaka. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Mata Pita Tuma Mere, Saranaga Ume Kisaki, Swami Saranaga Ume Kisaki, Tuma Bina Ora Na Duja, Tuma Bina Ora Na Duja, Asakarume Kisaki. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Om Jaya Jagadish Hare. तुम करुणा के सागर तुम पालन करता स्वामी तुम पालन करता मैं सेवक तुम स्वामी मैं सेवक तुम स्वामी कृपा करो भरता ओम जय जगदीश हरे तुम हो एक गोचर सबके प्राणपति स्वामी सबके प्राणपति किसा विधि मिरुंदया माया किसा विधि मिरुंदया माया तुमको मैं कुमति ओम जय जगदीश हरे दीन बंधु दुख हरता तुम रक्षक मेरे स्वामी तुम रक्षक मेरे करुणा हाथ बढ़ाओ करुणा हाथ बढ़ाओ शरण पदा तेरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे विषय विकार मिटाओ पापारो देवा स्वामी पापारो देवा श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ श्रद्धा प्रेम बढ़ाओ सनातन की सेवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे तन मन धन कुछ है तेरा स्वामी सब कुछ है तेरा स्वामी सब कुछ है तेरा तेरा तुझको अर्पण तेरा तुझको अर्पण क्या लागे मेरा ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे भक्त जनों के संकट दास जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओम चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी माने चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी चाकर राघो चाकर राघो चाकर राघो जी चाकर राघो चाकर राघो चाकर राघो जी माने चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी श्याम माने चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी गोविंद माने चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी गोविंद माने चाकर राघो जी गिरिधारी लाला चाकर राघो जी चाकर राघो जी त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्याद्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतांगमय ओम शांति 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 लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम प्रेम से बोलो लक्ष्मी नारायण भगवान se bolo Shri Radha Krishna Kadaya Lala ki Prem se bolo Mavatar Kriya Babaji ki Prem se bolo Shri Ramanuja Acharya ki Prem se bolo Satgurudeva Shri Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki Prem se bolo Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Narasimha Bhagavata ki Prem se bolo Satgurudeva Shri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki Om Krim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Jalavalabhaya Paraya Paramapurushaya Parakarma Mantrayam Tatata Ushadadi Shastrani Samarai Samarai Mrityor Mochai Mochai Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaya Dikti Balapritai Sarvaje Shomnam Pat Paramasmahe Paramabrahmane Paramajoshe Swaha Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha